So today we're going to see if this stock is a good turnaround play to be buying. Now, a turnaround play means that this stock or the business has been doing very bad over the last few years, but now it looks like the company is going to move in the right direction, and if the company starts moving in the direction financial wise, the stock price could also move in the right direction, and that's what we're going to look at today. Now, I can't believe I'm saying it, but the stock that we're going to be looking at is GoPro. Now, I can't believe I said that compared to where this business was 3-4 years ago. This business was not moving in the right direction, but it has been doing some good things, and we're going to have a look at it. So let's get started. Now, the week just gone, I actually had a week off work, which gave me loads of time to look into different companies and have a bit of a catch up. Now, one stock I've been hearing getting a lot of attention because of the turnaround potential is GoPro. First of all, the popular investor, someone that I respect on the YouTube scene, I know that he has been very much interested or buying this stock in the last few months. I also saw recently another YouTuber that I respect, Daniel Pronk, made a video that was really interesting. That interesting that I had to then go do some more DD on it and see if it's a potential buy. And also shout out to Matty on the Discord as well. I know he's very interested into buying this stock. And then I had 3 investors that I respect massively come and tell me that this is a good stock or potentially a good turnaround play to be buying. I was interested and I had to do the research. So here we go, looking at GoPro. Can't believe I'm saying this from where this business was 3 or 4 years ago, but we're going to take a look. I'm going to do some of the positives to start with, and then I will get on to some of the negatives, because there is some negatives with this business in a little bit. So GoPro, it was founded in 2002 by Nick Woodman. It manufactures action cameras and develops its own mobile apps and video editing software. Now, the company is currently valued at $8 and change. The ticker symbol is GPRO. It's currently valued at 1.3 billion. Now, it does have a P ratio of 3, which we'll talk about in a second, because that's not exactly 100% correct. We'll talk about that when we get onto the financials. But you can see here the stock price has been pretty flat recently over the last few years. But you can see originally when it did come onto the stock market in around 2014, the stock was $34 all the way up to $86 in 2014. And then between 2014 all the way down to 2016, the stock had a major decline of 84%. And since then, the stock price, like we said, hasn't really done too much. And if we look at the last year, the stock was actually $11 and now down 29% for this year. So GoPro does make these action cameras here, the ones that you can, basically the alternative of actually filming with your mobile phone. There could be quite a few activities that you do and you don't want to use your mobile phone for filming. So say like the likes for maybe skiing, skateboarding, and you could buy these cameras and use them to film. Now, this has been the pretty much the legacy of the business for so many years, but recently the company has started adapting, and you can see here 2019 it was a hardware only business. Now, moving into 2020, the company actually expanded, and this is where the turnaround of the business started happening, into a hardware and a subscription company as well. And then in 2021 it now has hardware, subscriptions, services and app monetization here. And the great thing about moving into subscription or SaaS model as well is this will give GoPro not just a one-off payment for these mobile cameras, it actually gives them more regular income from the people that use this platform. And same with the services and app monetization, same again, adds in more regular income into the platform. And also typically a lot of these software programs have better margins. Now, also another shift that's been really important for GoPro over the last few years is it has moved away from just being through retail. So typically what GoPro have done is they have sold a lot of their cameras direct through retail. So this might be through the likes of, say, Amazon or through Target. And the thing is that you obviously have to make money, and then whoever sells your camera, say Target, obviously take a cut. Now, what GoPro have been really focusing on is improving their DTC, which is direct to customer. If you're selling the camera yourself directly to the customer, then retail don't take their cut, so you make better margins. So in 2020, what GoPro did is they started to reduce the amount of retail exposure and have better margins through direct to customers. And then through 2021 you can see this is also improving, and you can see here this is what has really improved their gross margins. It was 33% to 35% to 36% and 41%. So now they're also getting more revenue from the customers because they're potentially buying for subscriptions, services and app monetizations, and that also has better margins. They're selling more direct to customer, which has better margins, and you can see here they're making making more revenue incomes and also having better margins. So combination of both of this is where we're getting more and more profitability here, and this is where the turnaround play is starting to happen with this business. Now you can see here, if I wanted to buy the GoPro 10 for example, I could buy the camera on its own, or if I wanted to, I could get 1 year of GoPro subscription, which gives you unlimited cloud backup and auto uploads, unlimited use of the Quick app, up to 50% off at GoPro.com, and no questions asked camera replacement. And you can see here the subscription for GoPro, where you can save $100 on a new GoPro, unlimited cloud backup, no questions asked, up to 50% up. And the thing is as well is that I think that you could potentially increase this, and what I'm surprised GoPro don't actually do is offer this over a monthly basis as well to make that look cheaper. So say it's £50 for a year, and they might do this but I haven't found it, but if you pay it say for monthly, you have to sign in for a year subscription, but it's actually £7 a month, and that's another way that they could actually make money. But still, for considering what you're getting here with the potential for savings on the camera, the cloud backup, the auto upload, and this is where the big massive growth is at the moment for GoPro since they have created this subscription base. And this has led GoPro to have a really good year this year. You can see here that they have been beating EPS on the recent quarter. You can see revenue was a good beat as well, and you can see at the moment, the revenue is growing in the right direction with nearly 10+% year-over-year growth, which is great. And you can see here in the earnings report how big this subscription part of the business is now coming. GoPro and Quick subscription revenues totaled 16.8 million, up 118% year-over-year, as well as the gross margins improving as well. And then looking at the valuation metrics of this company, you can see that it is starting to look quite cheap. You look at the enterprise value to revenues, it's down at 0.8. PS is down at a 1, the total enterprise value to EBITDA is down at a 5, normalized PE earnings is down at an 8. A lot of these metrics are standing out as very cheap for a company. Like we said, once again, if we go back to what they just recently reported, if they can carry on growing at 10% a year and still improve that profitability as well, that is going to be quite a good valuation for this company. So overall, with the positives, you can see this company is starting to move in the right direction. Revenue is growing. They are starting to move back into profitability as well. The metrics on this company is once again very, very cheap. And if it carries on growing at these sort of rates, it is going to be a pretty good turnaround play. Now those are the positives. We're going to get stuck onto the negatives now. So the first negative that I see at the moment is that this is only just entering its first phase of turnaround. So this is the first kind of year where we have started to see it turn around. Previously, as you can see, this company hasn't really done much. If we go on Simple Wall Street, which if you want to join, there's a link in the description. Previously, you can see here the revenue has previously not done that much until recently. Within the last 12 months, it's just started to move the revenue in the right direction and making a bit more profitability. However, if it does carry on in this direction, as you can see, this will be a pretty good investment. Now you can see here that there is a big massive jump in the profitability here. The reason why is because they did receive a one-time income tax benefit. So the profitability looks very good here, but it is important to realize this is a one-time payment. Without that one-time payment, the profitability would have been more towards the 90 million mark. So you can see here that analysts project that this year they're going to do 107 million. So that is probably going to be more around the realistic rate that they do profitability at. Now, considering if they do still do 107 million in profit and around about 1.25 million in revenue, that is still very, very good numbers, and like we said earlier, would still put this company at very cheap valuation, but just something to be aware of from that point of view. But at the moment, we still only have 1 year of turnaround numbers here. The second point is to look at how well these camera units do. Now, at the moment, at 2019, you can see that they shipped 4,260. In 2020, there was a massive drop-off, and in 2021, the camera sales are still nowhere near where they were in 2019. So it's important to see how these camera sales carry on doing, and whether or not to see this is just a boom because people are now allowed to go out a lot more. There's been a surge in camera sales at the moment. And this leads me on to my next point, which is the subscription side of the business. Now, if you look at the Hero 10 on the website, if I wanted to buy it on its own, it's £479. Now, if I do sign into the 1 year GoPro subscription, it does come cheaper at the moment. So at the moment, it does make sense for a lot of these subscriptions to be doing very well. It'll be more important to see, rather than people who are buying these new cameras and signing up to the subscription, is over the longer term period, do these subscription models stick, and do people carry on using a lot of these subscription platforms after buying a lot of these cameras? That is probably the more where we get the longevity of how good this subscription platform is, because at the end of the day, the big revenue driver for this company, the big turnaround part of this company, is the subscription side of the business. So it's something really important to be watching on. At the moment, with us only being really 12 months into this kind of turnaround program, I think it's a little bit too early to tell how successful that has been. And my third negative and my final negative is the management team. Now, it is a founder-led company, as you can see here. Nick Woodman is the CEO and founder of the company, and owns 60% of the business, which normally I would say is a very positive sign. But the problem is with Nick Woodman is there's 2 points. The first one is that at the moment he is really dumping shares off. As you can see, he dumped 200,000 shares off on the 18th of March recently, as a lot of insiders have done. Now, when your stock is down at these sort of prices and it looks like the business is going to be moving in the right direction, I'm not 100% sure why the founder CEO is deciding to release shares at these sort of prices. Surely it would make sense to me, as someone that would be so involved in the company. You can see the turnaround play happening, thinking, you know what, this business here that I'm in is in the healthiest position that it's been in for the last 6, 7, 8 years. So why am I going to sell shares now? Maybe what I do is I wait for the business to turn around, the business turns around, investors come in, this goes up to $13, $14, $15, and then I get so much of a better return on it. If you are truly turning the business around, surely it makes sense to kind of wait before you start dumping these shares off, rather than dumping these shares off down at these sort of prices. I just don't know if that kind of makes sense to me. And also, he does have a history of dumping a lot of shares off at the moment, so it's not like he really needs the cash for something, because he has sold a lot of shares at these prices before. So yeah, I'm not really sure on that point of view. And also, you got to remember, Nick Woodman is who's been the founder, the CEO of this company since its demise over the last few years. This is the same person that took the stock down. So there's also still questions about his capability to carry on turning this business around. You can see here that in 2017, 24/7 Wall Street named him as one of the 20 worst CEOs of 2017. So obviously he also has a bit of a checkered past in the business as well. So I've also got to be careful of the management team, because the management team here doesn't have a great history as well. Now, I did have a fourth negative, but actually GoPro have actually resolve this within the last earnings report. So they were actually starting to increase their shares by a fair amount. So you can see here they did kind of increase, 3%, 4%, up to 11% at times, 9% at times. But what they are starting to do recently is they have announced a share buyback. So they have announced a 100 million equity buyback of its shares, which is really positive. And if GoPro do carry on increasing that profit and revenue, they will have that ability to pay down that debt that they do have. The balance sheet isn't too bad, but there is a bit of debt on there, and it has the ability to buy back shares. So that would be a good thing for investors in long term. So a little bit of a positive there that's recently popped up in the last few months. So overall, as you can see, this company is starting to move in the right direction in the last 12 months. There's still a few concerns that I do have over this business though. And when there's 3 concerns, and one of them is management team, and management can make or break a turnaround play as well. And when there's 3 concerns that I do have, even though I think it could be a good opportunity, it seems like there's a million stocks out there for me to invest in. Why do I buy a stock where there's that little bit of risk that I do have there, when I can go put it in another stock that I think there's hardly any risk to this business? Now, don't get me wrong, looking at GoPro, I can see the turnaround is starting to happen. And without doubt, if GoPro carries on doing the improvement, which they are doing at the moment, and they do that over a course of a period of time of 2, 3, 4, 5 years, this stock will be higher than where it is today, 100%. The problem is that going to happen? That's what you've got to weigh everything up with, is that risk of our management going to deliver on that. And that's the thing that we do have. So that's where I'm at the moment. There's still a few risks here, but if management carry on doing what they're doing, it will do very well going forward, and it would actually make a really good investment. So for me personally, there's too many risks at the moment for me to invest in. I'll keep it on a watch list. I'll come back to it in 12 months. I'll see where we are at with the turnaround play, how these red flags are doing, and if the company is probably down at this sort of share price and the turnaround is still doing very well in maybe 12 months time, I have a reconsider. But at the moment, that's where I'm at with this turnaround play. So that's my video on GoPro today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.